TNT tomorrow. There are many ways out, but only one way to win. TNT's competition series, The Great Escape, is all new tomorrow, 10/9 Central, only on TNT. Kevin Harvick right now 11th on track. Let's listen to their conversation prior to the lap 44 pit stop. It's inside tracks.
Okay, I think we need to pull that left rear rubber out too here, guys.
Don't do that.
Okay, all right, we'll just stick with the track bar and the wedge here.
We're already in a big enough hole here. We don't need to self-inflict any more wounds than we already have.
Okay, 10-4.
Inside tracks, a great way to give the fans insight that they don't normally get when you talk about team communication. We appreciate Shane Wilson and that entire 29 team helping us out and letting us ride along here tonight.
Yeah, and you know, you heard him say, let's pull the rubber out. And Kevin says, no, don't do that. You know, and I don't think Kevin wants to make an adjustment that big that they got to go back to at some point in time, because it takes time to put that rubber back in. You can make a track bar adjustment and screw it in or screw it out, and it takes no time on a pit stop. Putting a rubber back in on a pit stop, it can be devastating.
They're making it sound like they're making 3 changes.
3 changes.
And that's huge.
Yeah, when you're making 3 changes and throwing something at it, then you're just fighting to stay in contention at this point in time.
And when he said it, we don't want to be in a bigger hole. If they go the wrong direction, then you get lapped.
Yes.
Then you're out of it.
Riding on board with Kyle Busch, coming behind him very quickly, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer, the top 5 here tonight. Last time we went to a 1.5-mile racetrack, Memorial Day weekend, it was Casey Kane that went to victory lane, but they're behind the 8-ball early tonight, Ralph.
Yes, Adam, and I just went down and spoke with front tire changer Kelly Kellis. They have reviewed the videotape with their pit crew, and they can't find anything wrong with that stop. When Casey left the pit box, all 4 tires are mounted properly. All the lug nuts were tight. Obviously, he didn't stay that way with that right front tire. It got loose. He was forced to make the pit stop, and now they got a huge hole to dig out of as Casey Kane runs in 31st.
What would be huge here, though, Ralph, is he can get around that 55 car of Michael Waltrip. If he does that, he would be the first car 1 lap down. If we could get a caution, he would get the free pass. So Kane running for a spot back on the lead lap here, if in fact he could get some help in the way of a caution.
Yeah, and you know, you heard Ralph's report. They can go back and look at the tape to make sure at least they went through the motions and everything was fine. But when the wheel's loose, the wheel's loose. I'm sorry. And that's not going to show up on the tape. That's not going to show up until you drop it off in the corner at 170 or 80 miles an hour and the driver radios back in and tells you.
Haven't talked a lot about Dale Jr. tonight. He's 6th right now, Marty.
Yeah, many people in the garage area thought Jr. was a favorite after yesterday's practices. On that first run, Jr. got a little too tight towards the end of the run, but Steve Letarte said, let's leave the car alone. I don't want to make many changes to it. Steve described to me this weekend before the race started as one of the smoothest all year long. He said, in fact, the last 6 weeks have been very smooth for Jr. It'd be pretty amazing. He waited 4 years between wins. Might even have to wait 2 weeks before the next one, though. Very fast right now for Jr. Expect a few adjustments, though, on this next stop, Adam.
And it's not surprising, Marty. Dale Jr. been consistent all season long, delivering once again, running inside the top 10. We've completed 79 laps here at Kentucky. We're going through the field. When we return, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer, the top 5. Of 267 laps complete here tonight at the Kentucky Speedway. We're closing on around a pit stop, so let's go through the field. Brought to you by McDonald's. Here's Chris Neville.
Kyle Busch has led 73 laps tonight. Speaking to crew chief Dave Rogers earlier, said last night in the nationwide race, cars were tight earlier on. They loosened up later. That's what I seem to be hearing from a lot of these drivers right now. Early on, the 18 car was a bit tight, loosened up that last stop track bar adjustment. That car working really well right now. Marty?
Chris, Brad Keselowski lost a little bit of ground on that last round of pit stops. They fell back to 5th on the restart. They've worked their way back up to 2nd. The car is still very fast, especially in this portion of the run. At the end of the run, that's where Keselowski is the best, about 12 laps from the stop for the 2 car.
And Jimmy Johnson runs third, Marty, in the 48 machine. After the pit stop, he said the car felt different, but he was really liking the feel and how it was working. About 10 laps ago, he said the car is just turning so much better, and the balance is close to what he's looking for, Marty.
Denny Hamlin off those 2 DNFs he talked about in countdown to green, 8th in the championship standings, but no panic right now. He said on that last change, it helped. He told Darian Grubb the car's a little bit better on the jump. At the beginning of this run, that's where they wanted to make it better, Chris.
Well, Clint Bowyer's been hanging out in 5th, 6th all night long. That car working pretty well. It was a little bit loose in the first run. They didn't make any adjustments. Now as the track is cooling off, he's saying that the car is getting a bit looser. They're planning to come in right around lap 95, 96. Marty?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. 10 laps from his stop, Chris, and he just radioed Steve Letarte a moment ago, and we have a battle for the lead. Adam, check it out.
Yeah, here comes Brad Keselowski right in the hip pocket of Kyle Busch, who's in and amongst some lap traffic. Kyle Busch diving low to go around David Rudiman. And that might have come at the right time, because Rudiman going to hold up Brad Keselowski a little bit off the corner and create some separation out front. Let's listen to Kyle Busch on the radio, see what he's saying about the ever-changing racetrack tonight here at Kentucky as the sun goes down.
Yeah, I can't keep it low on 1 and 2 right now for some reason. I got to do something different here. Okay, so want me to read you lap times or no? No. I'll know when I get it.
Yeah, and you know, you heard him say you want me to read your lap times. He's searching right now. And sometimes when the crew chief is talking to you and giving you lap times and stuff, he doesn't do it consistently in the same place. It messes you up a little around the corner. What I have been, you know, watching here is the 18 early on, you know, got caught. All of a sudden, the 2 cars catching him late in this run.
Here's Kevin Harvick under green, Ralph.
Yeah, he's having trouble making the car turn. That's what he's begging for. They made some adjustments. We'll see if that works.
If we go off what these other guys have said, he's pitted 5 or 6 laps early.
That's exactly
a little
what
bit
I was
earlier.
gonna say.
But maybe it had begun. Maybe he had got to a point where he was losing so much ground they felt like they needed to come in.
Yeah, a couple of laps ago, Chris had talked about Clint Bowyer 9 laps away. Marty said the 88 Adele Jr. 10 laps away, and here's his teammate Paul Menard.
But if you're, like I said, if you're not handling,
yeah,
and it's not working for you, you need to get in a little bit early and make those adjustments, because you're just going to lose a ton of time on the racetrack if you're struggling.
Yeah. To finish the thought on the 18, what I was trying to say is the 18 early on ran out there and got ahead in the first stint, but the 2 ran him down. They made a good enough adjustment on the 18 that it didn't fall off as much on this run, which is bad news sometimes for the rest of the field, which means he's caught up to the racetrack.
You know, he led 125 laps here last year in his victory. He's already led 80 tonight, and we're not even approaching halfway. Make it 81 now. But I will say this, Brad Keselowski has been right there all night long working it.
All night long.
And Jimmy Johnson's right there in the hunt, too. I mean, he's not letting these guys get away.
Yeah, right now, these top 3 cars at this point in time in the race have risen to the top. And we see this during the Coca-Cola 600 and other races that go from daytime to night. Somebody's really good in the first part of the race, and then they disappear in the second part of the race. It'll be interesting to see who keeps up with the racetrack. And as Wally said earlier, you know, the driver, Brad Keselowski, he's been in every race all week. He knows everything. Every time this track has changed, he personally knows it.
You remember last year he won at Kansas. That was a huge win for his race team. But Kansas, the one track that kind of reminds you of Kentucky, a flat 1.5 miles. And no surprise, Brad Keselowski experiencing success tonight, Marty.
Yeah, and what he says is when he gets to Kyle Busch, he gets too free off the corner. He said, when I push it, I get too loose. Green flag pit stop's getting ready to crank up in a moment, Adam.
Kevin Harvick made his pit stop, Marty, at lap 89. He was the first in under this cycle of green flag pit stops. His teammate Paul Menard came down 1 lap later. And based on the information Marty and the rest of the guys gave us earlier, we should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 or 5 more laps. In fact, here comes Carl Edwards right now, Marty.
Been kind of a rough night for Carl Edwards. He just can't get the front end of the car to stick like he would like, and they make the car too tight in the beginning, and it gets too loose at the end of the run. So they're going to make a host of changes here. Air pressure for Carl, trying to get that car a little bit better for him, just to react better, especially late in the run. That's really where they're struggling with the 99.
12.9 seconds. A solid stop for Carl Edwards running the UPS colors tonight. Ralph?
Martin Truex is in. He's having trouble getting the car to turn. He is actually hooking the left front tire just below the yellow line, using that transition to help make the car turn. So they're going to change all four and make an adjustment, and hopefully that'll work, Chris.
A.J. Allmendinger a little bit more confident this weekend after his top 10 last weekend. Going to make a chassis, a half round of wedge added to the 22. No adjustment the first time, adjustment this time, trying to snug that car up.
Here's the man running second, Brad Keselowski, making a stop. It's going to happen at lap 96, Marty.
He's here, and he said the car was really good, especially at the end of the run. They're afraid to make too many changes to it. Remember, they lost time on pit road last time. He told his guys, just give me a clean stop. Chris?
Clint Boyer in, fuel, 4 tires, going to make an air pressure change, trying to tighten this car up, coming off the corner.
That is a cool angle to watch the pit crew do their work. Boyer, last week's winner, spent a lot of time in the top 10 tonight. Here comes the leader, Chris.
Yeah, he's been leading all night. He's saying that car a little bit tight in the center of the corner. Possible air pressure change. I didn't see them getting a wedge wrench ready for any other adjustment here. So this team, 4 tires and fuel. Marty.
Dale Jr. said his car just felt like it was kind of just sliding around all over the place, but he did notice we're not falling off like other guys are. Trouble on the left rear for Dale Jr. That took a long time. That'll hurt track position, Matt.
And Jimmy Johnson's teammate Jeff Gordon has already pitted. His car was tight on both ends of the racetrack, and right near the end of this run, Jimmy told Chad Canals that my car too has started going to the tight side. He started backing up his entry. He makes his way into a stop wedge adjustment plan. Marty?
Getting Hamlin's car too tight, especially in the middle and off of the corner. One round of wedge for Hamlin, trying to loosen that thing up, especially at the end of the run. That's where they struggle with that tight condition. Matt?
And Jimmy Johnson's service complete. They called an audible. They went with track bar adjustment for the 48. Solid stop by these pit crew guys. First stop and second. Very impressive.
And Jimmy Johnson, Matt, did lead a couple of laps in that cycle of green flag pit stops, and now problems for Jamie McMurray. Some smoke on the left front.
I think he just locked it up, trying to get it slowed down.
Slowed down.
Lane.
Yep. Scheduled green flag stop here, Ralph. So McMurray gets 4 tires here, and he'll pull away. He was running second when he came to pit road. We've cycled through the stops under green here at Kentucky. Second time most of these drivers have been on the pit lane tonight. Kyle Busch back on the point. Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin, and Clint Boyer, the top 5.